Conservative.
Christian. Mother. Wife.
Air Force veteran.
Gun rights advocate.
This is Stacy on the Right. Here's your host, Stacy Washington.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Hour 3 on this Monday, September 29th. Monday's almost over, you guys. We almost made it. Congratulations. Congratulate yourself. But we've got a few more minutes left in this day, and I want to spend it with our next guest, who is here to talk to us about something I think we've basically been talking about this whole episode, the demonization coming out of the left, which is making every aspect of normal life in society just impossible. So joining us to talk about that is Garrett Fulce. He is a Texas native, and he is a contributor to Young Voices and the host of the Seeing Red podcast, which is a Texas politics podcast. And he's also runs the Fulce Consulting LLC, which is a Texas PR and public affairs firm. He's here to talk to us today about just what is going on the left. Garrett, welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by tonight. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, we have been talking this whole episode off and on about what is coming out of the left. I just played a clip from Representative Eric Swalwell, who, talked about how when Democrats back into power, they're going to, investigate everyone. They're going to weaponize the government. And of course, we've had these ICE shootings. I want, Garrett, before I let you talk to us about this, I want to play this clip for you, if you don't mind. Let's see, Chris. It is the Don Lemon clip. It's cut 4. I want to play this clip for you. I want you to listen to, and I want you to comment on it. This is Don Lemon talking to his, tens of followers about white men and how white men are the problem in America. I'll ask you to respond afterwards. Go ahead and play this cut 4.
Wake up, white men. What the is wrong with you? But you're too dumb to even realize that, because you're lazy and sitting in front of a computer or a phone and you're just eating it up. Oh, my God, look at what they're doing. All of a sudden, my heritage is going to be over, that I want to live in a country where white kids go to white schools and white people marry each other. What is wrong with that? I want to grow up in the country that my great-grandfather grew up in. That country doesn't exist anymore.
Garrett, your response?
I think Don Lemon's career trajectory kind of indicates how why he's, just doing what he's doing, right? He's not had the most successful run the past few years, so it makes sense that he'd try to get some attention from anywhere, and it's just hateful. He's caricaturizing anybody who has any disagreement with him as the worst possible argument, looking at the worst intentions of the worst folks and putting it on any given person, which just kind of perpetuates the system of violence that's, happening all over across the country right now.
Well, I think one of the interesting things is that, again, it's this idea of grouping, making this argument that there is a group of what until very recently we would have considered very normal people, white men. This is like a normal group in America, and making a group of people villainous, and then comparing them to people who really are not just villainous but dangerous. And then you've got a whole aspect of society, Garrett, that has been baked in assassination culture throughout their entire K through 12 education. These are incendiary remarks, but what is ironic about it is they are the ones are saying our side is the side that is creating stereotypes and racist and dangerous. That was deeply, I'm not white, Garrett. I saw a picture of you. I think you are. That was deeply offensive to me as an American to hear. How does someone like that think that that's going to lower the rhetorical heat? Or do you think Don Lemon knows exactly what he's doing?
I would never accuse Don Lemon of knowing what he's doing, but I do think somebody on his team does. It may have pushed him in that direction. Yes, it's offensive. It's doing exactly what you're saying. It is amplifying and then turning up the heat on the rhetorical situation that, people may say one day we need to turn down, and then they'll turn up the volume the next day. It's going to take real work of, engaging with people that they don't like, talking to people across the aisle to, kind of remember that people are people, regardless of their political beliefs, and kind of rejoin those fabrics of society. But right now, we're all sectioned off. We're all only seeing folks that we agree with on a regular basis, and we're not really engaging with folks we don't know how to talk about politics. I'm not sure we ever did. There used to be the act when we never talked about religion or politics. Now that's all we talk about online, but we still can't talk about it in person. And because when we do, people just start yelling at each other like they do online, and that doesn't go over. I think folks like Don and, the rest of the people who are amplifying this volume really need to take a look in the mirror and say, hey, what am I doing to turn this temperature down? Who am I engaging with? And if they have a public platform, who am I engaging with publicly to say, hey, let's have a conversation about where we disagree, and remember that we're actually people.
There is, and you've talked about it in some of the columns that you've written, but there's a sense that, by throwing the word fascism around so much, which is ridiculous. I can't even believe we're talking about it so much. Nobody knows what the word means. I probably talked about fascism 3 times when I was growing up in school, but now it's on everyone's mind. But throwing around the term fascism gives people license to do drastic things, because fascism is dangerous. It's scary. And when you tell people long enough that half the country is out to get them, furthermore, half the country is out to create some authoritarian fascist dictatorship, or however you want to combine those terms, it does give people who are already unstable, who have come through a very lonely and disruptive time through COVID, certain people gives them a license to be violent. And I don't see any sign of the Democrats turning the heat down when it comes to their language on their side.
No, and when I studied this in school, in college, I was a political science major, which is, I guess, the most unsurprising thing to come out of my mouth. The thing that kind of really struck me about fascism was that it is something that, by definition, co-ops existing organizations and then to perpetuate itself. So it will come in through the back door, and you'll never know what's happening until it's too late. But on the left, they'll look at this is what they did in XYZ country in the 40s and the 50s or the 60s or whatever, and say, hey, see, this is what's happening over here on the right today. And it's this is just a normal organization. It's going to act the way the normal organization does. And so they're able to take that, reality of if something fascist was happening, which would be they're going to be doing something behind the scenes and saying, look at these shadows over here. Ooh, scary. And you're never going to be able to predict it beforehand. That's one of the worst parts, or one of the scariest parts about fascism. You're really not going to see it coming beforehand. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, sorry. Continue.
Oh, sorry. So that's one of those things where it's they like you said, they give people the license to say, oh, this is scary, these are the worst people in the world. And you're right, they've been baked in, the Gen Z and the young millennials have been baked in this idea of online culture that is just deteriorating at the seams, and they're coming out of it where enough of them, not a lot, but enough of them have this nihilistic attitude, and they just want to go kill people for the lulz. It's literally just, they're awful, they've completely disconnected from reality, and they want to go take whatever excuse they can to go in themselves in a blaze of disglory or unglory or whatever.
And after Garrett, after the murder of Charlie Kirk, of course, we saw a lot of heated rhetoric. And I mean, maybe there was about 5 minutes where people were being respectful. But I don't have to rehash all this all. We've seen the ridiculous things coming out. And even today, there's a clip going around from the anti-racist author, Ta-Nehisi Coates, talking about how hateful Charlie is and how hateful, even after Garrett, we came through a week of praise and worship celebrations across the country and churches filling up and just the opposite of hate. It feels like these people on the left live in they live in upside down land. Whatever they're doing, they accuse us of doing. How do you even speak to that? How do you even work with that?
I don't want to ascribe malice to folks I've never met. I will say it seems to be a impulse by folks to amplify the voices that pay their bills, right? Whether it's Coates or it's Lemon or whomever, it seems to me that if we're looking at the actual motivations behind it, that they know it's going to get clicks. They know it's going to get people driven to their website, their books, their book tour, whatever the case may be, because there are people who want to, Yas queen them all the way to the bank. And just, it feels like that's a lot of what's happening. Now, I don't know, how we come back from that when there's such a large incentive for folks to just amplify stuff, because the people in their world, enough people will do that for them where they're going to start clicking and they're going to start buying stuff because they're saying what they want them to say. And I think we can talk about the Don Lemons and their role in this, and I think we should. But I think a larger part of it is, there's a supply and demand aspect of it. As Republicans and supply side conservatives, we're always kind of looking at supply and demand. I think there's a supply side here or a demand side issue here where there's a demand on the public to a certain extent, which is sick. There's sick people, not just in the power positions, but also in the grassroots of the left.
It's interesting that you use that word sick, because I just recorded a video today on my Instagram and I talked about how America is sick. So we saw the shooting at the Mormon church, and this is more than just, guns or political differences. Well, we have a sickness in our country that has to be treated. And that's going to be more than just policy. It'll be spiritual and cultural revival as well. Before I let you go very quickly, Garrett, I'm in California. You're in Texas. We are both at the heart of this gerrymandering battle that is going on. Mm-hmm. Texas, of course, doing their part to correct their gerrymandering wrongs. And then we are doing our part to correct your gerrymandering wrongs as well. We've got a big vote coming up next month on our Prop 50 here, which is the gerrymandering bill. What's it looking like there in Texas? And how are you all looking at us in California?
Well, it was a hard-fought battle here. Obviously, we had the votes to do it. The Democrats just ran away, the cowards they are. And ultimately, I think that it's going to put Republicans in a better position because the Democrats had gerrymandered far more across the states they controlled in 2021 than Republicans had. So there's more meat on the bone for Republicans to go and take, and it seems like we'll probably end up having more net seats because of it than we wouldn't have. It's going to be a tough election. Midterms are always going to be tough for the party in power. That's just the way it goes. The president ends up being on the ballot without being on the ballot to drive his supporters to it. So we're going to have to figure out ways to get President Trump's supporters out to support the ticket up and down across the country. At this point, we're not since the Texas die is cast, we're just kind of looking to see how the dominoes fall, how they fall. But Texas has a very early primary. And so we're already gearing up for who's running for which of the seats they just drew.
Well, Garrett, good luck to you in Texas and good luck to us here in California. We'll see how it goes here. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to go. It is, but it's interesting. It's polling at 50-50 now, which really means it's losing. So I think the Charlie Kirk stuff gave us a little wind in our sails. So we'll see, but keep praying for us out there. Garrett, before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find you online.
Oh, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter or X at GWFulce, that's FULCE. And if you want to follow the podcast, if you're in Texas, if you want to see what's going on in Texas, it's seeingredpodcast.substack.com.
All right. Thanks a lot, Garrett. Good luck to you out there, and God bless.
Thank you. God bless you as well.
Garrett Fulce, talking to us about, Texas and, redistricting, and also just how crazy and heated everything is.